Whew, boys and girls, today's topic is going to be a hot one to say the least. This is probably one of the most debated things in bass fishing right now, and this is another opinion video. And I'm going to give you guys my opinion on forward-facing sonar, live scope, whatever you guys want to call it. Now, I don't want to turn this video into some like bashing of one side or the other, because to be totally honest with you, I'm kind of a neutral observer. Now, I have forward-facing sonar on my boat. I don't have it on my kayak. And so I have played with forward-facing sonar. I've had experience with forward-facing sonar. I've caught fish using it, but it's not my bread and butter, my end-all be-all. And so in today's video, let's try not to let this just devolve into the madness that is the rest of the internet right now with this topic. But I still want to just kind of talk about it and then get your guys' opinion on it as well. So forward-facing sonar, what do I think about forward-facing sonar? So let me just talk about it from a technological standpoint. I think it's fascinating. I think it's actually kind of amazing that we have been able to develop a technology like that. And when I say we, I mean humans. Realistically, forward-facing sonar is actually military tech, and it comes from the military. Garmin is a big military contractor. So what that means is they work with the U.S. military, specifically I think the Navy and the Air Force like the most, and they help to develop technologies that the Navy and the Air Force needs to be able to do their job really well and to be able to go to war and kill the bad guys. And so I think forward-facing sonar, from my understanding of the history of it, was developed for submarines to be able to literally shoot sonar out in front of them and see what was in front of them at really long distances. And so, you know, it was kind of funny. I actually got a cool story. When I was in college is when Panoptics came out, which was the precursor to forward-facing sonar, what we consider live scope. I guess it was forward-facing. It's just what we consider live scope today. And I was telling a kid, and was a kid, it was a man that I went to college with that was a Navy veteran, about Panoptics. And he goes, yeah, dude, we had that on the Navy ship that I was on for like 10 years. And I was like, oh. And like, so is a technology that they had long before the public had, and was being used for military tech long before it was kind of downsized into these little micro packages that we have now and put on a boat to be used to go and catch fish. And so from a technological standpoint, that's fascinating. That's really, really cool. And I'm sure like what's on submarines and on, you know, Navy ships today is even crazier than what we have on our boats. And can probably see out like miles instead of feet, and be able to, like, you know, they could probably see a whale's tail moving just like a quarter of an inch or something like that with some of the technology that they have on those boats. And so I think from a technological standpoint, it's fascinating, and I think it's only going to get better. I don't think forward-facing sonar is going anywhere anytime soon, because from a biological standpoint, there hasn't been enough research done to say that it needs to be banned because it's putting too much pressure on our lakes. Now, I'm not saying that it's not putting pressure on our lakes. What I'm saying is there's not enough data yet for it to be backed up to say that it is. I actually had Gene Gilliland on my podcast, Alex Red Fishing Podcast, over on the Alex Red Fishing YouTube channel. And Gene is the director for BASS. And I actually had him on my podcast to talk about forward-facing sonar, and he said there's just not been enough research done to say yay or nay on whether it's hurting our lakes. And so I don't think that technology is going anywhere anytime soon until there's enough data to back up the fact that it is actually having a detrimental effect on bass population, crappie population, muskie population, or any population of any fish that forward-facing sonar is being used to catch those fish. And so I think those two things, from like a technological standpoint, I think it's only going to get better. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, and it really is at the base of what it is, a really cool technology that I think, like I said, is only going to get better. Now, from a fishing standpoint, on my personal level, so me going out by myself, not tournament fishing, not competing fishing with it, doing anything like that, not, you know, touring professional, stickers on my boat, all that stuff. This is just me out on the water. It's fun. It's actually a really fun thing to play around with and to use. Now, I use it maybe 5% of my total fishing time for a year, maybe 10%, like if I'm really on a cool bite with it or something like that. Like this past year, I got on one bite where I was catching them on forward-facing sonar, dropping a Berkeley bait down to them, is the new Berkeley finisher, dropping it straight down to them, just watching them come off the bottom and eat it. That was late winter, really cold water. It was kind of the time of year for that type of bite, and I used my forward-facing sonar to do that. The rest of the year, I'm a shallow water power fisherman. I'm normally in my kayak, which I don't have forward-facing sonar on, or in my little paddle kayak, in a creek, throwing spinner baits, chatter baits, big swim baits, that kind of stuff. It's what I like to do. And so for me, I think it's fun when it's usable, but like if you took it off my boat, I don't think I wouldn't miss it at all. And so for me, it's just fun. It's cool to play around with, but it's definitely not the end all be all. Now from a tournament perspective, stickers on the boat, the whole nine. I have two opinions on it. The first opinion is I really don't care. I'm not invested into professional fishing like some people are. I don't watch it constantly like some people do. And I think that if it's a technology that people have to use or need to use to be able to win the money because they've put their money up and they're gambling on the fact that they're better than everybody else and they can go catch fish, I say they go catch them however they need to catch them within the rule set. That's my opinion on that. Now, from a viewer's perspective, this is that second opinion I was talking about. It's boring, and I think you're already taking something which is fishing and which is boring at its core for people who don't enjoy fishing. And that I've said that before, and I think a lot of people get confused about that. Like they say, well, fishing's not boring. Well, fishing's not boring to us because we're fishermen and we like fishing. But like to the general population that doesn't like fishing, which is my entire family, it's kind of boring to watch fishing. And so if you take something which is live professional fishing, which is like on 8 hours or 9 hours within a day, and then you make it where they're just looking at a screen, not saying anything to the camera, and even the commentators don't have much to say because they're just like, well, they're catching them on forward-facing sonar. You take something that's like boring, make it even more boring, and then smother some more boring on it, and you have a really boring thing. And so I think from a viewer perspective, it's kind of killing the whole viewership of fishing, especially for people just trying to get into the sport. And I don't care which one you like, BASS or MLF, but I will say the no practice MLF tournaments, every fish counts back in the day that were on TV, even my wife enjoyed those. And I think it's just because it was interactive, high pace. It made something took something that is inherently boring and made it not boring. That's my opinion on forward-facing sonar. Let me know your opinion on forward-facing sonar. I don't care whether you like it or not. Please be respectful down in the comment section. That probably won't happen. There's nothing I can do about that, but that's it. If you want to see me using forward-facing sonar, click this video. It's popping up right here.